Sup YouTube, it's Decklists TCG here, and welcome back to another TCG video on my channel. On this channel I get daily Pokemon TCG content, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content. Also clicking that little notification bell helps you stay up to date automatically when a new video hits the channel. Today we're going to be checking out some of the results from the city leagues that happened in Japan from the last couple of days. I would say we're going to be capping it at 7 days, and we're going to see what actually is super popular and is performing well at these city leagues. City leagues are typically very similar to League Cups, and they are capped at 64 players at a maximum. So we're gonna have a little bit of an idea on these smaller kind of events over in Japan on what is being popularized with Twilight Masquerade, because they already have access to these cards. We get them in 2 weeks time, so it's gonna be awesome. The pre-releases also start this weekend, and I might even attend one if I find the time, so that's gonna be very interesting as well. But before we dive into these deck lists, be sure to of course check out our sponsors for today, dragonshield.com, for your sleeves, binders, and deck boxes. You can get 5% off using the coupon ZAPDOS5. There's yourplaymat.com to create your own unique custom playmat. PotanStore.com to of course get TCG Live code cards to buff up your account. You can of course use the coupon ZAPDOSTCG over on the website for 5% off. And there's CARDMARKET.com for European players, where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. You can use the referral name ZAPDOSTCG to help support the channel. With that being said, let's take a look at the results from Tokyo all the way to Kumamoto. We're going to be of course checking out some results here. These are from the 6th of May, so that's actually a couple of days ago, from last weekend. So we're going to be checking out what they have been cooking up with over in Japan, with the first one being in Tokyo, with of course Dragapult winning. I already made videos about all of the lists that are performing well. I made a dedicated video about Dragapult EX, about Iron Torrens EX, about Greninja EX. I made the top 10 best decks in the upcoming Twilight Masquerade format. We talked about the top 20 best cards, even the 5 underrated cards. So everything from Twilight Masquerade already available on the channel, so be sure to check out those videos if you haven't already. With that being said, this City League over in Tokyo was won with Dragapult EX, also playing the Neo Upper Energy, which actually gets yourself the attack, the Phantom Dive, if I'm not mistaken, from Dragapult EX instantly activated with just one attachment. You can fetch it out with stuff like the Forest Seal Stone or the Quick Search of the Pidgeot, and there is an Iron Bundle in here. Other than that, this seems pretty self-explanatory. There's also a Mela in here. Mela can also accelerate a Fire Energy if one of your Pokemon got knocked out during the opponent's last turn. And there's a one-off Enhanced Hammer in here. So the Enhanced Hammer can definitely work in mirror matches where Neo Upper Energy and Legacy Energy mainly are the targets for the Enhanced Hammer. Second place was Gardevoir. So Gardevoir is far from being dead. The Monkey Dory really helps out Gardevoir, and it is still at the top tables here. We of course see some Drifloons. We see the Fluttermanes floating around. There's still Cresselia in here because some Lost Boxes are still performing well over in Japan. We see Luxurious Cape and 2 Bravery Charm. The Ace-Pack card of choice is Unfair Stamp, which I personally feel is the best Ace-Pack. You could also argue that in the Sapporo Champions League they were playing the Hyper Aroma Ace-Pack card, but I'm more fan of the Ace-Pack Unfair Stamp, because you can cheese out some games just with a powerful effect. Putting the opponent down to 2 cards when they knocked something out is just that crazy. And Monkey Dory also helping out with the damage output of your Pokemon, because you absorb some energies from the discard pile, and the damage that you put on yourself can then be put onto the opponent's active Pokemon, which really helps out something like a Gardevoir as well, hitting the correct numbers to actually slap 220 against specific targets. So Monkey Dory, really great in Gardevoir. Then there's a very funky Gardevoir Palkia list, a very strange way to go about this. There are some water type energies in here, and they added in the Palkia so they can use the Greninja with the Moonlight Shuriken. Personally not a big fan of this list. It spells out bad news for sure. Then there is a Greninja EX list with Pidgeot. So Pidgeot seems to be and a lot of lists, not only Charizard lists, but also in Dragapult or Greninja. Like the stage 2 buddy of most of them is the Pidgeot EX. We do see Blood Moon Ursaluna, a 1 copy in here, and Hawlucha helping out with some damage on the opponent's bench, meaning that the Greninja EX can hit for some bigger numbers here and there. And we also of course see TM Devolution, which is a very powerful way you can cheese out some games as well. There's Canceling Cologne, and of course the attack, second attack from the Greninja EX, being able to snipe 120 damage to 2 targets, definitely with stuff like Prime Catcher and Cologne, seems pretty powerful in my book. So yeah, very formidable list here, with the Lost City in here as well. So Greninja EX has a top 4, so that's great. And I did see that Charizard is getting less results than I anticipated. So instead of like putting Charizard in tier 1, it might be dropped down to even tier 2. Following tournament in Kanagawa, let's check it out here. And let's see what they were rocking with. Another Dragapult winning. This Dragapult is playing Zatu. So this is also the most popular way of playing with Dragapult over in Japan. We see the Tatsugiri being able to fetch a supporter from the top of the deck, looking at the top 6 cards. Also, it is one of the pre-release promos from Twilight Masquerade, so definitely something you should pick up. Very nice. And then this is a TM Evolution based build with a high amount of Arven, trying to evolve in those Dracloaks. Dracloaks also able to look at the top 2 cards of the deck with the ability, put 1 card in hand, 1 to the bottom of the deck. So there's that. So you don't need that many rare candies when you play a high amount of TM Evolution. Prime Catcher as the ace pack card of choice. Again, in this list, the stadium that you always see frequently is Temple of Sinnoh. Then there is Raging Bolt Sandy Shocks getting all the way to 2nd place. That is pretty peculiar because we don't see that many new inclusions. Actually, no new inclusions in this list. So it is just the way it is always working out with. So Raging Bolt slapping huge damage down with Sandy Shocks in the late game. Yeah, Raging Bolt is being able to one-shot time and time again. Yeah. With Raging Bolt having 0 weakness, I guess you do have an answer against some of the Dragapults, because you can one-shot them. You do have some low HP Pokemon on your bench in the form of Squawkabilly and Mew EX, but sometimes it's just you're just way too aggressive. So there's that. Then there's another Dragapult with Charizard and the Serena, the Radiant Serena, for that mirror match, being able to heal 20 from all of your Pokemon. Actually can be quite interesting if the opponent spreads around with the Phantom Dive in mirror match situations. You can heal off that strategy and off you go. 1 copy of the Lance in here. You don't see that too often, but there was a buyout on the full art Lance over on TCG Player and Card Market. So I think it's kind of ridiculous that people are overhyping Lance. I know Dragapult is going to be Public Enemy number 1, probably the tier S deck of the format, but do you need Lance for that? Not always. The ace pack card of choice is going to be the unfair stamp for this one, but there's a Charizard in there for the mid to late game, because the cool thing is that the Dragapult EX requires a fire and a psychic energy, and the Charizard also relies on fire energy, so you do have late game coverage with that. And then a Lugia in that top 4, playing of course the card that I really underrated here was the Wellspring Ogerpon EX, being able to of course have additional win conditions. Sometimes with the Sup attack, the first attack of the Wellspring Ogerpon EX in combination with double turbo energy turns it into a tempting trap. If you see some Mawels here and there, like, you can do the exact same thing with a Lugia deck now. But not only that, you also have the sniping capabilities, slapping 100 to the active and 120 to the bench. So if the opponent doesn't slap down Manaphy against the Lugia deck, they are now punished. And there's also, of course, the powerful Iron Hand EX in the Lugia list. And 1 copy of the Carmine, you can fetch it out with, of course, Luminium. So, yeah. Lugia is also a tier 1 deck in that new age format in Twilight Masquerade. And Shiba, we see here another Dragapult winning. So you could of course understand why everyone is already saying like another tier S or tier 0 format. Oh no, I'm not up for that. But little do you know that for the World Championships, there's also going to be a mini set releasing based upon Dragon type Pokemon. So that will be releasing on the beginning of August and will be legal for the World Championships. So it's going to be similar to the way of the World Championships over in London, where Pokemon Go was the mini set that just released. And there were some really unique cards in that set that helped out, like Radiant Charizard, Pokestop, etc. So anyhow, this is a classic list. Not too much to say. There's a TM Devo in here, which really helps out with the damage spread of the attack of Dragapult EX. it's really, really interesting to see that, yeah, there's no Neo Upper Energy. The people are debating between what is the best ace-pack card for Dragapult EX deck, and yeah, the the choice is still up in the air. Okay, then we do see a Snorlax block deck getting second place. Snorlax block is an interesting one, right? Because if you're up against Dragapult, they can like sprinkle around some damage all across your field here and there, and at one point they will take 2 prize cards. But with the new item card right there, we do see it right here. It is going to be that flute, the performance flute. Looking at the top 5 cards of the opponent's deck and select any number of basic Pokemon you find there and put them on the opponent's bench. So that really helps out. Now you of course still have Erika's invitation, but there's no need for something like a Mantine where the Pokemon are in the discard pile, because with 4 copies of that flute, you're going to be able to, of course, get some Pokemon that they don't want on the bench, which is very powerful indeed. And then you just trap them with the Snorlax block capability. Another new card and inclusion in here is going to be the Handy Fan. If the active Pokemon this card is attached to is damaged by an opponent's attack, move an energy from the attacking Pokemon to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So that sometimes is even better than the Bravery Charm in specific scenarios. When the opponent attacks you, you just put the energies on useless Pokemon like Bibarel or yeah, Lumineon, and you name it, Manaphy, Jirachi. So that's gonna be really fantastic. Also Giacomo, I think this list has a little bit of trouble, I would say, with Lugia, because only one Giacomo. It's always a little bit tricky for sure. Okay, moving forward, third place is Giratina VSTAR with Maximum Belt, allowing Giratina to have 2 one-shot capabilities. With the Lost Impact and Maximum Belt, you one-shot something, and now with Star Requiem, your VSTAR attack, you also one-shot something, and in the late game you still have Blood Moon or Ursaluna, one of the most powerful cards from Twilight Masquerade. So not a lot has changed for Giratina VSTAR. And then a Turbo Lost Box deck getting 4th place. The TM Crisis Punch is cool in here. And you do have your powerful attackers, Iron Hands, Roaring Moon, Blood Moon, Ursaluna, and then the Lost Box package. So again, not a lot of change coming for a list like this. There is also a 5th place, a Blissey. So sometimes I'm going to be looking over the top 4 and see what's going on here. We do see it is going to be Blissey with a high amount of Monkey Dory, because the Monkey Dories allow you to put 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you get damaged by a high attack, you can just heal off all the damage. And it only works if they have like Darkness Energy attached, but as soon as you have a board with Monkey Dory and like say 3 Monkey Dories and they all have a Darkness Energy, you can heal 90 at every specific point if you're not getting one-shotted. So that can become very, very scary very, very quickly. So Blissey, we'll see how far it actually will go and over in the West. But in Chiba, it actually got 5th place. Then in Tokyo again, we saw the Giratina Madness. So 2 Giratina decks were able to get 1st and 2nd respectfully. So not a lot of new things. Also 1 copy of Canceling Cologne in here. Something I really like for sure, because it can surprise people again. And this list also, yeah, 1 copy of the Canceling Cologne, helping out with Moonlight Shuriken. And of course, if you're using the Counter Catcher, Canceling Cologne, Moonlight Shuriken combo, you're definitely going to be doing some crazy stuff. Okay, then 3rd place is the Lugia list. The Lugia list this time around is not playing the Wellspring Ogerpon EX, but it's playing, I would say, some more supporters like the Jacques and also yeah, the Jamming Tower, allowing you to shut down all the tool cards in existence, helping out against stuff like Gardevoir mainly. There is also a Miraidon Regieleki VMAX deck that performed quite well, getting into that top 4. So I think Miraidon is seeing a little bit of a resurgence after the Champions League over in Sapporo. So that's really cool to see. And next, so many tournaments over in Tokyo at the same day. We see another Giratina. Temple of Sinnoh seems to be the stadium of choice, and Maximum Belt seems to be the ace pack of choice. Then, yeah, Dialga Matang getting 2nd place. So we did see that this has performed really well over in the West here with the last regional. So Indianapolis with, of course, the Dialga VSTAR. Andrew Hendrick getting, of course, the 1st place. Really reflected a little bit over in Japan as well. Greninja EX with a 1-1 line of Arceus VSTAR and even a Cleffa. So Lots of stuff in here, but with of course the Ninja Blade, being able to get any card you want from the deck, you can do all sorts of muckets, definitely with V-Star combinations of Starbirth. So you can get lots of cards from the deck to get your combo going, Prime Catcher, Cologne, you name it. So yeah, Greninja is doing not too bad. And then 4 plays for another Dragapult Xatu list. This time around they're going for the Scoop Up Cyclone for the healing capabilities. Alright, then from there was one more in Tokyo, so there was a couple of Giratinas winning out. Then Dragapult with a 1-0-1 line of Charizards. I think that's a little bit of a greedy side, but it does work out definitely because you do play the Super Rod. But if Charmander's prize or Charizard EX's prize, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. But I would say this really works out if you have if you're short on deck space, you can actually add in a 1-0-1 line for the late game, because the late game Charizard can still take 4 prize cards, as we all know. Then another Giratina, unfair stomp in this one instead of the maximum belt, so it seems like Prime Catcher is being less and less used, and still 2 copies of Bulbasaur and 2 copies of Counter Catcher, so lots of Gust in other ways. So the ace pack card is up in the air for Giratina. And then a Snorlax block deck, very similar to the list we've seen before, with the Flute being utilized, and then a Gardevoir with the Hyper Aroma, a little bit similar to the 60 of Sapporo Champions League, so there is that. Then, as we leave Tokyo, we're going to Hiroshima with Gardevoir winning it all, and this Gardevoir list is very similar to the stuff we've seen before. So if you want to be playing Gardevoir in the near future, this is what a 60 would personally look like. I don't know if you still need Cresselia or not, but in my opinion, the list does look solid. Only one Drifloon gets me a little bit scared if you see something like a Lost City somewhere popping up, but it is what it is. So with Gardevoir getting first place there was also a Giratina again. We're not going to be talking about the same decks over and over again. Let's talk about some new ones. This is the Blissey Ogerpon deck. And the Ogerpon allows you to draw cards, but also get energies into play. And you have access to something like the Tropius, which actually is able to move all energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. So you can easily circle around and keep your energies in place for a big one-shot with that Ogerpon. Keeping all your energies in play because of Blissey. There's the Rigged Band, Chair and Scare stuff. So Blissey also making a little bit of a dent in the format. There was a Greninja. What is this? This is pretty much everything. Now this is just a meme, right? It's like looking like a GLC deck to me. Even though in GLC you cannot use multiple prize Pokemon, but it's like one-offs of everything. Not gonna be putting too much attention on that. That's just a meme around, let's be honest. Okay, then moving all the way to Tokyo once again, where a Greninja Frostlass deck was able to win it all. If you don't know what Frostlass does, it actually puts 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon with an ability, and that could stack up pretty quickly. Definitely, you only need 1 energy to attack with Greninja, and then the Frostlass will do the job later to finish off the stuff, which is very cool for sure. Definitely in combination with Hawlucha, Collapse City, the Hawlucha then use it again another turn. So lots of stuff to see here. Hyper Roroma being the ace pack of choice, which really gets up your Frostlass very quickly. Definitely in combination with Irida. Irida and Hyper Aroma can pretty much get anything from the deck, which is kind of crazy for sure. So there is that. Then another Gardevoir winning, and third and fourth was for the Giratina. Then in Kanagawa, we see another Dragapult winning. This time around, Dragapult, Charizard, Barrel. Okay, and a high amount of Colress's Experiment with some Cramorant, and even a one-of Comfey. Yeah, unique deck building for sure. But I don't know what I feel about this. So I would rather go for like scratching Comfey, scratching Cramorant, and adding a 2-2 line of Barrel. But hey, I'm all for consistency, and sometimes, yeah, I do understand when you're playing like a one-off Comfey. If you start with it, it's pretty good. Definitely because you do play Switch, you do play Skateboard. But yeah, it also gives up 1 prize card. It draws a little bit deeper, but it is what it is. Then a Lugia list with the Weirder V. You might wonder why there is a Flutter Mane in the Lugia list. That is for situations like Iron Torrents, where you're up against an Iron Torrents. You cannot use Summoning Star, and then things go wrong very quickly. So that's why there's a 1 copy of the Flutter Mane in this list. And yeah, that's pretty much all we have to say here. There's another Zard. Charizard Pidgeot, 3rd place, and Giratina, 4th place. So lots of Giratina, lots of Dragapult, lots of Gardevoir still as well. So there is that. Saitama is the next city we're going to, and that is the ancient box that won it all with 1 copy of the Kirin. Kirin allows you to slap 30 more damage to your opponent's V or EX Pokemon, so that is really, really useful. Could also be used as a switch, by the way. And there's a secret box in here. Secret box, discard 3 cards from hand, get yourself like I would say a stadium card, an item card. I think, let's just be honest here. Yeah, a tool card, supporter, and stadium card into your hand. So you discard 3 to get 3, whatever you feel like. The cool thing with this is you do discard ancient cards. So I do understand the appeal with the secret box ace-pack card in a list like this. But getting 1st place, not too bad. Then 2 Giratinas, 2nd and 3rd. And then there was an Iron Hands, actually just Miraidon deck. That I think is the 60 from Sapporo, maybe with 1 card difference, but the list is performing well, so that is nice to see. Then we're in Kanagawa once again, where Gardevoir was able to take down a champions, City League. Again, same stuff we've seen before, Monkey Dory and Fair Stamp. There was also another Miraidon here, like 18 energies. Just play some DTEs, man. Play the DTEs. Like, the DTEs really help out with a list like this. So, with that being said, in Tokyo again, there was Giratina winning it all, Dragapult 2nd place, Miraidon 3rd place, and then there was a Future Box 4th place. Future Box, something we have not seen quite a lot of in the Twilight Masquerade format, but this is a high rolling list with 4 copies of Pokemon Catcher, and high amount of lightning energies. You go for the electric generators, you have Arven, Iono, Research, just consistency all around. And it paid off getting 4th place. You do see in all of these top 4s, we haven't seen a lot of Chien-Pao quite yet. Will it become clear that Chien-Pao is like a little bit worse off with Dragapult entering the format? I think so. You have to play like Frigibaxes with 70 HP, and we all know that that is not the preferred way you want to be going with. So Dragapult Pidgeot winning here. Over in another Tokyo City League, there is a very funky Raging Bolt Palkia VSTAR list with 1 copy of the Cornerstone Ogerpon EX. This actually is immune from all the Pokemon with abilities, by the way. So very, very strong card in my opinion, and it's being used in this kind of list. So I'm very curious to see how, Raging Bolt sometimes pops up. And so a very wacky top 4 here, where you do see Reggie Draco VSTAR into that top 4 on top of another Dialga here. So the Dialga list with 2 copies of TM Evo to instantly get, of course, the Metangs up and ready to go with an Arven. I would prefer to see more Arvens if you play TM Evo, but they got away with it and got 4th place. Also, you don't see a lot of Arceus. Arceus seems to be dropping off a little bit. We do see that Chien-Pao is also dropping off a little bit. So definitely some things are happening right there. Okay, and Miyagi with Raging Bolts. Oh yeah, this is a list getting 1st place. I'm very excited. Maybe I should order myself some Raging Bolts here, because I'm really fan of lists like this that are going very, very turbo. You go for Professor Sada, and then you can get more energies into play with the Ogerpons. There we go, and then out of nowhere you can start one-shotting ASAP. So what is there not to love about lists like this? I will really have to test this out, for sure. Then some Miraidons, 2nd, 3rd, and then 4th place was for Giratina. But I really like that Raging Bolt Ogerpon list. Then in Shiba, we have a Gardevoir winning. Gardevoir has been figured out, not a lot of new things. Professor's Letter, actually Letter of Encouragement is in here. And then an Arceus, Blissey, Cornerstone Ogerpon. So Cornerstone is Ogerpon, definitely in combination with Hero Escape. Can be really, really scary. You can move around an energy from the Blissey, or actually from one of your Pokemon to another Pokemon, and then get a DTE attached, so you can instantly start swinging with it. So Freshwater set helping out against the Dragapult spreads, and there's a Radiant Gardevoir for some damage reduction. So this is the first Arceus deck I've seen all day that was able to get itself into top 4. Next is Kumamoto. The cool thing is that all these cities I've been to in Japan, so that's actually super cool to see. Brings back a lot of memories. We see Snorlax block getting first place over in Kumamoto. There is a Dragapult Zatu list with the Scoop Up Cyclone as the ace pack card of choice. Lugia, 4th place. Again, no Wellspring Ogerpon in here, just going for Iron Hands and Blood Moon Ursa Luna. All the rest is just consistency cards, which really helps out. And then another Miraidon with 3rd place. Yeah, the same 60s we've seen before from the Champions League. Ibaraki, where Charizard was able to win once again. This Charizard list is playing even a Pidgeotto because it's playing the TM Evolution and even is playing Arceus VSTAR and Radiant Serena. So it's kind of adapting to a Dragapult world and playing even 60 HP Pidgeys to help out a little bit further. There was a 2nd place, the Dunsparce. I know the Dunsparce has a low amount of hit points, 60 HP, so the Dragapults will eat those up. So I don't know how good this deck is still is, but there was not a lot of Dragapult into that top 8, so I guess they were able to dodge most of them. 3rd place Miraidon, 4th place Giratina. Then we are over in Osaka, the place where everyone likes to go to party, and there's Dragapult with Charizard getting 1st place. On top of that, there was a 2nd place Gholdengo. Gholdengo Prime Catcher Cologne combo is definitely with Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking, putting something on top of the deck. You even have the Kirin for additional damage output, so you don't have to discard an additional energy. So, stuff to think about. I don't know how Gholdengo still is in this upcoming format. There's a Turbo Lost Zone box. The main partners they want for the 2 prizers is Iron Hands, Roaring Moon, Blood Moon Ursa Luna. Sometimes you see Raikou. When you see Raikou, you usually see a Forest Seal Stone, which is not in this list. Alright, then Miyagi again with Dragapult and Charizard. Yeah, it seems like this archetype is also doing quite well. It makes sense, right? Then there's a Dialga VSTAR, a very wacky build, also playing a Wellspring Ogerpon EX. Interesting for sure. How do you get these energies on? That's the main question. Oh yeah, you can get the energies on with Metang. What am I saying? So this is actually pretty interesting, unique for sure. With the Hyper Aroma Ace Pack card. Yeah, that's something you could do for sure. Ishikawa with Turbo Lost Box winning it all. And this Turbo Lost Box is playing 1 copy of the Ditto with the Transformative Start. And also a Force Seal Stone to pair up with that Raikou V. Then Gardevoir, Lugia, and a Turbo Roaring Moon list. Yo, actually this has performed quite well. Getting lots of placements over in all these city leagues. So with water energies and 4 copies of E-Switch. Who remembers those days, right? I remember those days fondly. I've played Roaring Moon EX to get half of my championship points for my Worlds Invite in like 1 month's time. And Roaring Moon really has a soft spot to my heart. But I'm missing Galarian Moltres. And without Galarian Moltres, like going with like some tracking shoe shenanigans. I don't know, doesn't feel the same, but definitely worth testing out, I suppose. Because you're Turbo. Turbo is the way to go. Aichi, City League, 4 Lugias. 4 Lugias in the top 4, that's kind of ridiculous. Gifu with Dragapult winning, then Lugia. Then Giratina VSTAR 4th. Actually, there was nothing that won because the list was not noted. Wakayama. What is in Wakayama? Let's check it out. It was Lugia, Dragapult, Miraidon, and Gholdengo. Let's see what this Gholdengo list had. It was Hyper Aroma and 1 copy of Lady. You don't always see that. And a list like this. Also, no Palkia in here. Straightly going for Gholdengo. So hopefully you don't see. Any Mimikyus, although they can attack with the Flutter Mane, I suppose, but still. What else? We have here in Nara, the park with all the deer. Miraidon winning, 2nd place, Snorlax block. Then Raging Bolt, doing some Raging Bolt stuff. That's actually cool to see that Raging Bolt has performed quite well. I've seen it time and time again, so there's definitely something there. Oita with another Raging Bolt winning, actually 2 Raging Bolts. There was 1 Raging Bolt here that won the entire thing, and then there was a Raging Bolt 3rd place with a Porygon Z in there. Porygon Z, once during your turn you flip a coin of heads, attach up to 4 basic energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So, yo, that is kind of wacky. Instead of relying on weak HP Sandy Shocks EX. This time around, they're relying on the Porygon Z. That is very, very, very unique. 4 plays going for that Dragapult. So, yeah, lots of stuff for sure. Hokkaido over in the north. Gardevoir winning, Lugia second, Dragapult third, and then Miraidon fourth. So in that top 4, we don't see a lot of Chien-Pao. There was a 5th place Chien-Pao, I suppose, but it seems that Chien-Pao has a rough time in this updated Twilight Masquerade format. That's all I can say here. It seems like the Ogerpon here is trying to establish itself with Raging Bolt. That does seem super cool, and I'm really excited to test that out because I really love Turbo decks. There was 2nd place Charizard Pidgeot, and then 3rd place was an interesting Greninja Frostlass, which you sometimes see popping up left and right. Okay. Then, going over to Osaka again, what do we see here? Some interesting one, Miraidon, Gardevoir, and Giratina. Are there any other interesting lists over in Kyoto? Lugia, Snorlax Block, Giratina, and Turbo Lost Box. Fukuoka, Dragapult, Snorlax, Charizard, Miraidon. So it seems like Miraidon is totally back. Let's just be honest, Miraidon is totally back in the format, as the results are not lying. We see a 4th place Iron Torrents EX deck, so that's super cool to see. And that Iron Torrents EX deck is actually playing a Mist Energy, also comes back with some Disruption, Eerie. Then there's also Crushing Hammers, and the Ditto makes sure that you have less mulligans. So it actually is a super cool list. Shuts down all the abilities. We talked about Iron Torrents before, so definitely be on the wary because it's not popular, so it's definitely under the radar. Okay, upcoming tournament here, another Raging Bolt. So I see more and more Raging Bolts as I develop. So going through all these tournaments, Raging Bolt seems to be popping up more. Is it meaning that it is still under the radar? I don't know. I really don't know. There is an interesting Miraidon Luxray deck, and the Luxray EX is able to snatch out some of the cards from the opponent's hand, and yeah, you can actually choose. So a very disruptive take on Miraidon. When you're able to get these fellas out, you do have Arven to get them out. They have a high HP. You of course can use an Iono in combination with that Luxray to make the opponent brick. So very unique. Nice to see that. That was in Kagawa? Here, next up, Dragapult winning. What is this Dragapult? This is just Dragapult with Radiant Greninja for draw power, with not that many energy, so kind of interesting to see why with some tracking shoes. So no draw engine whatsoever. Okay. With that being said, Gunma, next tournament here, Dragapult winning, Turbo Lost Box, Charizard Greninja, and then again, this is popping up again. Ogerpon, should I really think about the Raging Bolt right now? I see it popping up with Sandy Shocks, see it popping up with Ogerpon, but is it strong enough in this format? This was actually played during the Gunma tournament, Champions City League, Saitama again. Snorlax Block, Turbo Lost Box, Dragapult and Snorlax Block. So Snorlax Block also a deck you should not underestimate quite yet because it has been popping up left and right. Then in Osaka again we see Giratina winning, a Raging Bolt with Palkia. Why are people so fond of the Raging Bolt? I don't know. I have a lot of questions for sure. There was an Ancient Box getting 2nd place over in Osaka. And actually the Ancient Box, it was not Ancient Box, it was like Roaring Moon and Friends. So there was that, Unfair Stamp, Iron Leaves, and a high amount of Flutter Mane as well. And Torton to come out of nowhere. And Dragapult winning again, Snorlax Block, Miraidon, Turbo Lost Box packing the same stuff we've seen before. 2 copies of that Roxanne. That was over in Nara. Okay, this one. Moving forward, Kanagawa, another tournament. Giratina, 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place, Miraidon, and the 4th place was at the Greninja EX with Pidgeot EX. I'm also really curious to see over in the West how this will develop into, how popular it will actually be. Okay, Miraidon winning, no surprise there. Miraidon has everything it needs to just go crazy. There was a Goodra Lost Box deck getting 4th place. Goodra, Mist Energy, Blood Moon Ursaluna for the late game, and a Torton. Nice to see decks like this resurging into the format. Okay. There was a Blissey getting 2nd place, so this is just classic Giratina getting 1st place, but 2nd place, Blissey with 1 copy of the Cornerstone Ogerpon EX to stall off a little bit. The TM Turbo Energize, getting energies into play, moving them around to your good friends, Monkey Dory. So Blissey also getting a little bit more respect, as people were saying that the deck was like mediocre at first, but again, another Blissey getting 3rd place this time around, but with Binder Drop, with access to Aerodactyl VSTAR, Shaman VSTAR. So personally not a fan of a list like this because it just clunks up your deck time and time again. 2 Lugias, 3rd and 4th place, Turbo Lost Box 2nd place, and a Giratina 1st place. So we've seen a lot of these performing well. And Giratina has been on a tear lately. So Giratina again 1st place. There was a Dragapult Charizard list, Scoop Up Cyclone in the list, Lugia list with no Wellspring Ogerpon, and then a Turbo, I would say Turbo Iron Hands, Future Box kind of deck. Not a lot has changed here, just playing Pokemon catchers just to preying on those weak HP Pokemon. And then Charizard Pidgeot winning. This is playing Radiant Serena and 60 HP Pidgey, so people are really afraid of Dragapult, it seems. And there was a Gholdengo Darkrai VSTAR deck that got top 4. This is really interesting because you can use Monkey Dory for additional damage, and with Darkrai VSTAR you can use some of your cards from the discard pile, so you can get back your Prime Catcher if need be. So interesting stuff. There's also a couple of Darkness energies, not that you're going to be doing too much with the Darkrai itself, but that is unique stuff right there. That actually happened in Kanagawa. Fukuoka with Blissey winning. So, no, was it Blissey winning? Yeah, that was the upcoming one. There was 2 in Fukuoka. The one with Gardevoir winning. Same stuff we've seen before. This time around, they're packing the Klefki. And there was one where Blissey, Palkia were able to take it all down. So, very cool to see Blissey popping up left and right, Raging Bolt popping up left and right. More importantly, the deck to beat actually is still Dragapult EX. Snorlax Block seems to be around as well. Chien-Pao has dropped off ridiculously. Snorlax Block is still around. Miraidon has returned to the format. Definitely like the last couple of tournaments here. We do see Miraidon winning in both of these tournaments. And yeah, there was a Chien-Pao, 2 Chien-Paos in the top 4, but they really dropped off, let's be honest. This is Chien-Pao now having to resort on 7 HP Frigibags, and there's also a Palkia VSTAR engine with the way you can accelerate those energies. So Palkia VSTAR seems to be returning into Chien-Pao, but it's still not enough to push them over the edge. And also with Miraidon getting more and more popular, it seems very scary to be playing a Palkia these times. There's a Great Tusk in here, 4th place. No new cards except for the survival casts. Putting yourself to like 10 HP again, and then you can pack it up technically with a penny, but there's no penny in here. But you probably don't care if the opponent is not playing any sniping cards, so that would be nice. Great Tusk right there. So lots of decks that we checked out already. So there's still a couple of more, so we will finish this round for the last couple of days, the last couple of 7 days, so we are complete with our analysis. There is a unique Diplin deck getting 3rd place with the Rapska, and there's preventing from sniping. That's really useful because otherwise you just get sniped away and you lose. There's that. And Nara, we do see Lugia winning. The Lugia is playing the Wellspring Ogerpon. That's the version I prefer most. Also, there was a Radiant Serena in that list. 2nd place got Arceus Armarouge deck. Yeah, this also seems to be popping up currently, but I'm not a big fan of that deck. In the meta, not even with like the new meta. There was Turbo Lost Box deck performing well, and Dragapult was able to get 2nd place with Xatu. what is the preferred way to be playing with? Is it going to be with Xatu? Is it going to be with Pidgeot? It's definitely a lot of testing we still have before NAIC is there, so people will really need to train here. There's a Charizard, Pidgeot Bibarel. In this list, there is a Funky Sagoro. 2 of your Pokemon heal 50 from them. That is countering the Dragapult effect, so there's that. 3rd place was cool-looking Miraidon, and there was a 4th place Charizard, Greninja, Pidgeot. So seems a little bit of a difficult deck to play, even though you can get any card you want from the deck with Ninja Blade. It always seems to be tricky because you have so many stage 2s up in play. A Miraidon deck winning again, no surprise. Okay. Then Lugia. Lugia winning, also getting 4th place. 2nd place goes to Dragapult, and 3rd place also Dragapult with Charizard in there. Then another tournament where Lugia was able to win with 2 Gholdengos into that top 4. So really interesting to see that Gholdengo sometimes seems to be having its main moment as well. The Gholdengo, the first one was with Palkia, a 1-1 line of Palkia. Also the Picnic Basket, healing, helping a ton against, of course, Dragapult, and with, of course, your Picnic Basket, you can heal some damage from your Pokemon, which helps out a ton. And also, you're playing 70 HP Gimme Goals now. Everything needs to be 70 HP, otherwise you get caught in some Dragapult madness. This one was a list with Scizor and also 1 copy of the Monkey Dory, also playing the Ace Pack Hyper Aroma. Alright. Then 3 more tournaments to be taking a look at. We have 2 Dragapults in the top 4, 1 Ancient Box. Now it's 1 Roaring Moon EX deck. Alright, and Charizard Pidgeot still doing its thing, getting 4th place. But Charizard has been dropping off quite immensely. And I also saw that the Chien-Pao hasn't been performing all that well. I have seen a lot of decks today, and it seems that Chien-Pao is having troubles getting into that top 4. Having a very bad matchup. Sometimes again, like in Lugia, having a bad matchup against Miraidon, having a bad matchup against Dragapult. It's tough out there for the Chien-Pao believers. Lots of Dragapult. Look at that top 8. Ridiculous. I think it was like 6 copies of Dragapult in there. Miraidon, Regieleki VMAX, helping you with the damage output of your basic lightning Pokemon. And it actually got a reasonable result. And then the last one for today is going to be 3 copies of Giratina VSTAR into that top 4, and then a 4th place Miraidon deck with the new Morpeko. I also talked about this new Morpeko being an underrated card. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video of us talking about bazillion amounts of decks over in Japan, what the last week happened here. If we had to take a look at like decks currently, if we take a look at like decks, what happened here? Charizard dropped off a little bit, let's be honest. No more the tier S deck. Chien-Pao, I would say not that good anymore. Giratina survives, Lost Box survives, Gardevoir survives, Arceus not good. Lugia gets better, Future Box gets dropped down in popularity, Roaring Moon gets plopped down in popularity, Snorlax Block gets better, Miraidon also gets still around, and a little bit of Gholdengo. So yeah, I wonder how the format will develop. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. It helps out in ridiculous ways. You have no idea. And subscribe for more daily Pokemon TCG content, of course. Also, check out the sponsors that make the video possible. If you're looking for sleeves, binders, deck boxes, head over to dragonshield.com. Use the coupon ZABLUES5 for 5% off. yourplaymat.com to create your own unique custom playmat. Potan Store for your TCG Live code card needs, and CARDMARKET.com if you're a European player to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. Also, I have to note down here is that a Raging Bolt has been popping up a lot, and I really need to test that deck out because I love myself some turbo-based decks. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you guys tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG action. Thanks for watching. Peace.